我跟圣诞哥也交手过蛮多次了嘛，他比较难应付的东西就是他跟打人灵动会比较好，打他的话我要准备更多东西嘛。
打帽子的话，看我想不想去支援我队友吧。我不想的话，他可能补刀会少一些。
如果上路只要稳住就行了，都没问题。
面对 RW， 我会拿出最好的状态迎接来自下路的挑战。
对 RW， 看他4榜1打法，我们也不是很慌，因为我们也可以4榜1。
电竞冲进去，一个人在这边徘徊着，终于是遭到了击倒。但是牛头怎么办？又被狮子狗跳了一脸，狮子狗已经打出一个3杀，这是一波 Quadra Kill。
他们打野的话很喜欢抢我们的 F6嘛，当然打我们的时候应该抢不掉。
我有100凤凰可以拿到你的 F。
他来了他会死的。
아마 머리 싸움으로 이기려고 하는 건 아닌데.
不管上路还是打野路线，我都有这个引导方案。
下一赛我会 super carry 起来。
上个赛季我们面对 RW 时成绩也不是很理想，再一次对 RW， 我们会捍卫 Snake 的主场尊严。
Welcome back to the LPL, everyone. Week 2 has arrived. It's Friday, and you just saw Rogue Warriors are getting prepared to re-enter the Snake Pit. One of the few teams to prove they had the anti-venom. One of the few teams to survive the threat that Snake could bring. But still, the fans in Chongqing are as proud as ever. I'm sure we're going to get the chance to hear their chants later on. But welcome, everyone. My name is Dom, and joining me here on this analyst desk to break down the game before we get into it is Clement. How are you today?
I'm doing fine. Great to see the Snake pick yet again, and I love what Snake said. Last time Rogue Warriors beat us, but this time that's not going to happen because we aren't even running an ADC, which was me last time.
Yeah, well, we get a chance to see something a little bit different today. But before we get into today's matchups, we got to talk about what the English broadcast missed. On Tuesday, we saw Team WE taking on Fun plus Phoenix, going 1-2. Edward Gaming 2-0 over their opponents, OMG.
Oh, and rough days for WE. Still haven't found a single series win, going down 0-3, despite Condi coming back and showing up some nice Baron securing skills in their first game.
Yeah, still not quite able to do so as FPX, like you said, were able to find the kills on the back of this LWX on his Ashe, chasing Xie down for a significant amount of damage and scaring them away. That said, WE, though they find themselves down in Game 2, were able to retaliate and take this team fight to equalize the series 1-1.
Only Gnar we've seen so far, 9-5-7, sticking to the champions he knows best, and with a big signature 5v5 team fight, the way WE likes to win their games.
Exactly. Those massive late-game team fights to chase them down. Of course, when it got to the end, when it was all said and done, FPX found the team fight. Condi steps forward. 9-5-7 and Xie, I think they've got what it takes, but again, LWX and the rest of FPX have got the damage. A clutch Shadow Dash from Gimgoon finds the pick, and they're able to chase down this final team fight, take the kills that they need to close out the series 2-1.
Classic guided missile composition right there from FPX with the Nocturne Paranoia and the Hero's Entrance. So seeing a lot more combos in these replays.
Yeah, certainly seeing quite a lot of them. Of course, remember, EDG also went 2-0 in their matchup as well against OMG. But on Wednesday, we had another 2 games that was for a relatively quick day. Invictus Gaming, 2-0 over Vici. Royal Never Give Up went 2-0 over Suning.
IG going back to their tried and true aggressive bottom lane styles so far. We've seen the collective bounty composition with Pyke and Draven in the bot lane. They got 600 extra gold off of their first kill and snowballed the game so far that even when Jackie Love died first, they had no problem finishing it.
Yeah, there was just so much damage. Ning and Rookie on that Lulu were able to follow up, and with the crowd control that Pyke provided, hooking Snow back in, they were able to chase down those kills nice and easy. Of course, RNG in their match against Suning. We got to see Uzi on his Kaisa, but all eyes should be on Xiaohu's Talia in the mid lane. Massive damage over the course of that series, though afterwards, Uzi got the chance to step up in Game 2 on his Kennen.
Who let him on that Kaisa? I just have to wonder, but now to Game 2 on that Kennen. It's a great answer to a Master Retire composition because those melee champions simply cannot touch you at all. The big electrical storm keeping everyone away from it, and he actually finishes the fight with over 80% of his HP.
Yeah, all the time we talk about the dogpile composition here in 8-11 of this patch of the LPL, but Kennen, excellent answer to just try and deny that. You want a dogpile, well, you're going to get stunned. But speaking of stunning, let's take a look at the scoreboard where everyone is standing as we enter into week number 2. All eyes should be on the top of the standings. Invictus Gaming are coming out strong, 3-0. And the only teams that look to match that is Rogue Warriors and Edward Gaming.
Of course, the Shy still not appearing on the Invictus Gaming roster, and Rogue Warriors having a fun time swapping toward the, traditionally speaking, weaker western side of the conference.
Of course, Team WE, one of our favorites of the last split, has been suffering. We'll get a chance to see them play later today. They're at 0-3 in the standings, but still things have plenty of time to grow. It is only week 2 here in the LPL, so lots of chances to see them recover and return. Perhaps they're still looking for their roster to get fully solidified, but let's actually get into what today's matches are going to be. You saw it on the scoreboard as we were coming in, but let's actually get a chance to talk about it, because Rogue Warriors versus Snake looks like this might be the first team that could challenge Rogue Warriors' dominance.
Yeah, we haven't seen a really strong contender against Rogue Warriors so far, only trounced over TOP and OMG. This is going to be the first real contest they face to split.
And of course, WE get the chance to play later today. We'll see if they have started on the path to recovery, or if OMG are the ones who have set their foot out first on that same path. But to get back into this first matchup, Rogue Warriors is one of the most dominant teams in the LPL right now. They've not dropped a single game. They're 4-0, and every single team that they go into, they look absolutely smashing.
And this is really surprising because they didn't look that good in Demacia Cup, and they were characterized as a one-track type of team. They only had the AD, the bot side, that was very strong. But I have to say, they've really stepped up in terms of replying to enemy compositions. Doinby has been given the last pick in both of these last 2 sets, and he's responded with his own counters to the meta, the Cassiopeia, going up against the enemy dive compositions, and of course picking the Kled to pick up the pace, his own signature pick.
Yeah, and of course these stats are giving them some significant advantages in the game when we can see them take these powerful champions and slingshot them against their opponent. They are #1 in CS per minute, #1 in damage dealt per game. They give up the second least turrets, and they have a 100% Baron take ratio right now. Rogue Warriors are exceptionally dominant.
Yep, and it does come down to responding very well. We just sat down with Coach Steak 2 days ago, and he actually told us the keys to the meta are understanding your own compositions and countering the enemy ones. So when OMG ran a full assassination comp against SMLZ, they just simply put him on the Karthus. And a lot of these games, when it goes to the late game, Rogue Warriors look like they're undefeated, invincible simply because of the compositions they chose for themselves.
And with those compositions, they are able to effectively deny the enemy team. Again, we talk about the patch 8.11 meta. Gold funneling is such a popular strategy, dogpiling to just try and body one specific carry to eliminate them. You said Rogue Warriors have already identified the solution for that.
Yep.
Well, their opponents on the other side is a team that might be a little bit more willing to try something new. Snake, the mad scientists with SOFM in the jungle. If anyone's got something crazy and unexpected, it's going to be them. You can see they're starting on the blue side for this game 1. It's Flandre in the top lane, SOFM in the jungle. Guoguo mid with Houdier and Maestro, the 2 supports in the bottom lane.
Again, Crystal nowhere to be seen, still not running in the AD carry, so we are going on our primary carry in SOFM for Rogue Warriors, Mouse Flawless, Doinby, SMLZ, and Kahlua. The same composition that they've been running the entirety of their team.
So now let's get a chance to talk about this, because it is going to be quite challenging for Snake to bring down the dominant team right now. But if anyone can do it, it has to be Snake. This is the team that has all of the surprises, all of the unexpected tricks that they can pull out.
And it's just amazing to see how many support mid lane combos that they've actually figured out. We've seen the Graves, we've seen the Olaf with the Armwrecker, and of course Babushkat with the Rengar, and Mastery coming out for their entire compositions. And all of that gold funneling does go to SOFM. He actually deals the most damage share on his team, and also the most gold share when compared to other junglers. You look at those stats, you realize that even though he's playing in the same position, he's on a completely different level. They're willing to run 3 or 4 supports and just get him to spike as early as possible in these games.
Yeah, and those innovative picks work out for him. Here we can see that full crit Graves at 50 minutes into the game. 957 goes in, eats 3 auto attacks with 1,000 health shield, and gets absolutely destroyed. Here's the Babushkat in action. I think I counted a grand total of 8 or 9 leaps over the course of this replay. SOFM absolutely crazy with the stuff that he's coming up with. And if he has to surprise Rogue Warriors in this matchup to prevent them from responding to Snake's wacky style of play, what are we looking forward to? Is it going to be another Babushka? Is it going to be an innovative build path? Or will we be looking towards this funneling?
The cool thing is that they have 4 types of compositions that run this on this kind of philosophy, so there's no way to ban it entirely out. However, that being said, Rogue Warriors have been exceptionally good at countering the support mid. We've seen it before.
Yeah.
2 of the big things that they do is that they rush Tiamat on their jungler, make sure that they can keep up the clear speed, and most importantly, they do challenge that level 1 incredibly hard with Doin being flawless.
We'll see if that works out for them. Now, though, it's time for our casters to get us into this game 1 between Rogue Warriors and Snake.
Oh, hey! Thank you so much, Tom. I'm Boss. This is Ross. How are you doing, Pross?
Normally there's like an SOT or some sort of like da-da-da-da-da. It was like, nope, just right on us.
Because the thing is, usually we take this time to, adjust ourselves, kind of tuck ourselves in, take a selfie maybe, and it was just straight over to us. So, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Champions Slate. We've got Snake taking on a Rogue Warriors. We're getting right into this. So, it'll be Lucian, Talia, and Lulu, the band out from Snake. Rogue Warriors will respond with Graves, Master Yi, and Rengar coming out for them, and it's going to be a first pick of the Kaiser Frost.
Now, we did see that SMLZ popped off on Lucian. He's been one of the #1 ADCs banned on 8-11 in the LPL, but the other 2 bans, make no mistake, those are aimed directly at Doinby. We haven't seen another Talia jungle since she decided to break our game a couple of times.
Yes, indeed, that did happen. On the opposite side, we're going to get Rogue Warriors first picking the Olaf, followed up by the Aatrox for the top lane. That's going to be a fast response coming in here from Snake as well. That's going to be the Morgana, and I believe that's the Karma just straight up locked in as well.
Yeah, we are going very fast and furious. Now, that said, a lot of flex champions happening right now. In fact, I'm not even ready to just grab hold of the Kai'Sa and say that that's going to go into the hands of Houdier. Now, reminder, Houdier and Maestro, if you have not watched Snake Esports, these are 2 career support players. That is not a marksman. Snake Esports are the first team globally to bench their marksman player and play with this dual support lineup. So, again, tons of flex picks, but that tells me that Kai'Sa could also end up in SOFM's hands. We've seen him jungle AP champions before, like his famous Malzahar jungle, and AP Kai'Sa has been the norm in the LPL.
I mean, Snake are just adapting well to this meta because they are the innovation team, and this is the meta for them to do it. As you said, no AD carry just going straight in with these supports at the same time. It's been working out for them, 2-1 currently in the standings. This is going to be responded by a Fiddlesticks, however, from a Rogue Warriors.
Yeah, and I really want to highlight the Fiddlesticks. I think it's a very smart ban because you're effectively looking at either a Morgana or a Karma, possibly both in that bot lane. Maybe the Kai'Sa joins them. We're just going to call it the Purple Champ collection. Fiddlesticks can deal with that. He can try to survive a lot of the push. He offers a lot of kill pressure on these champions. And he actually does fairly well into Morgana. So I feel like this is just kind of a catch-all safety pick that they've grabbed hold before they start to see where Snakes start to align a lot of these pieces.
Snake are going to take away the Cassiopeia here, send that one away, and Singed and Braum will also at the same time be removed from Snake's roster, and we're going to be finishing this one with taking away Doinby's Kled.
I just want to say that 4 out of the 5 bans from Rogue Warriors are directly thrown at SOFM in the Braum in 3 different junglers, but just making sure that no gold funneling strat is going to be available, or if so, it's going to have to be a different look from Snake, and that's really my question for this team. How deep is their toy box? Because we've seen so many different compositions about how to cheese this meta come out. I'm just curious, how many more combinations do they have?
I mean, it's where are they funneling, right? Mundo's going to be pick up for the top lane here from Rogue Warriors, but you're right, we should be focusing in on Snake because it's going to be pivoting around this final pick because they bait out the Kai'Sa and it's just like, of course we're going to be picking supportive Kai'Sa. Surely we're funneling into the AD carry, but I'm expecting something different.
See, I'm actually really leaning towards this idea that it's Karma Morgana bot lane just because Snake really rely on the ability to have permanent lane shove. You already seen Ornn. Now we're going to have a Nautilus on top of it. I've seen Nautilus mid.
Hold on, it's not locked in yet.
I would assume it would go into the support position just because he started to crop up there. But the main thing to look for in Snake is that they constantly want to be pushing their lanes forward to open up space for SOFM to blitz into the enemy jungle and try his counter strategy.
That's what you would have to assume, for sure. Karthus is actually going to be the final pickup here from Rogue Warriors, and not with his partner in crime, Nunu. We're actually going to have this one by itself. Let's see where all the picks go in the end. We've got some swap-ups. Frosk is raising both arms in the air in victory.
Kai'Sa jungle. Zyrene, whatever he was doing something, he stopped. He's like, I sense a disturbance in the force. A Kai'Sa jungle has been locked in. I believe the first one for the LPL. But let's quickly look at Rogue Warriors composition and start to stack this one out. Doinby with the mid lane Aatrox, I think that's the biggest surprise there.
Yeah.
It's the first Aatrox mid that we've seen, although Aatrox has been appearing pretty significantly globally in the top lane as well as for the LPL. Doinby, of course, known for a very wide and very specific champion pool. He's the guy who plays Nautilus mid, Maokai mid, Kled mid, and now having the Aatrox there.
Victor.
Yeah, he's a big tank player, and it's about how he uses more of these tanky, unconventional builds to help bolster his team's team fighting ability, because again, it's usually all around SMLZ as your true hyper carry of the team, and on a Karthus, he can deal out a lot of damage.
And Rogue Warriors is a team that will let him do just that as well. They're never going to say, no, Doinby, that sounds too crazy. They'll just let him do it. Snake's behind him as well, and Snake's like, heck yeah, pick that Aatrox in the mid lane, let's do it. And on the opposite side, they're against a team who will equally do the same. You have SOFM in the jungle, who is absolutely the mastermind in this current meta. He is the guy who's throwing out all these crazy pigs, telling people where to go, what to pick, what to do. And now we have both of these two teams colliding here today.
If anyone ever asked my opinion of who you should watch in the LPL on 8-11 with all of the jungle changes going through, my immediate answer was Snake Esports. You have to watch SOFM. This guy came from Vietnam in the VCS region. He played with Coach Tinnacun, the same coach that Coach Levi, and the strategy always was, how do you break the meta through experience, through gold, and through denying? The coach came from Dota. SOFM is trained like a Dota player. We don't have denial aspects in League of Legends, save for the jungle.
Yeah, deny, deny, deny. That is what Snake are after, and it's exactly the mantra that SOFM plays up to. Let's take a look at the comps one more time. So we've looked at Rogue Warriors, but again, shift our focus over to Snake, because we've got that Kai'Sa in the jungle, the double support setup with tank in the top lane, tank in the bottom lane. So all of this is set up for, again, SOFM to succeed. And now we're onto the rift with Snake versus Rogue Warriors. All right, she's definitely taken a page out of the JD manager's book right there.
No. So reminder that we are in Chongqing. It's one of our 5 away arenas. We are located in our home base within Shanghai. And what's cool about the Chongqing crowd cheers is that they use this special dialect. So always fun to be inside the snake pit, as we like to call it. But Rogue Warriors fans, they've turned up pretty much at every single venue just as loud as the home crowd.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have very dedicated fans in the LPL, honestly, people who will follow the teams around and always be with them. So it's nice to see.
And SOFM's got a lot of dedicated fans to follow him around on his team comp. So he is the Kai'Sa jungle. We'll keep our eye on what type of build path he's going to go for, because he has been known to mix it up. You know, Athene, Zac, not going to talk about that one. Full crit Graves. But now he's got Morgana, Nautilus, and Karma, all just to beef him up and make him as incredibly powerful as possible.
Conspiracy theory, he kicks off the AD carry on the team so he can be simultaneously the AD carry and the jungle at the same time, while being the support, having all the supports around him and all the tanks. So let's see how this one goes. And in the mid lane, we've got SOFM walking up here, of course, from the jungle. Maestro is going to be in the mid lane, and we're going to have the Morgana, Karma, as you predicted, in the bottom lane.
Is he walking up, or is he just farming? This is what I actually really love about the 8-11 meta and the gold funnel strat, is I believe NA has decided to coin it, and Reddit has now just run with, is this idea that ganks don't really exist on mid lane anymore. You actually just show up, you take the camp, and then you immediately pick up your mid laner, as you can see, holding hands with Nautilus right now. They're like, this crab is mine. And then after we're done with this crab, I'm going to walk into Flawless's jungle, and I'm going to see what else I can take.
Yeah, it's also really important just for Nautilus to step up and CC the crab, so that SOFM obviously has less resistances on the target, can take it down faster, and then he can transition back towards the mid lane.
Yeah, and reminder, the big thing about all of these champions on Snake's composition is their ability to press waves forward. Of course, Nautilus, usually when he was in the top lane, he would sometimes take his shield first and then just try to out-trade you with the passive on his auto attack and then absorb with the W. I believe he took E first. I can't remember quite when he walked into the lane, but using his Riptide to force it forward. And then, like you said, Karma, Morgana, bottom. I can't think of a more obnoxious lane to try to push against. Oh yeah, I can. Fiddlesticks Karthus.
Yeah, it's definitely very annoying. Birds coming into silence here, and at the same time you get slowed and then you get pebbled. and it's not good times for anybody. You can see some of the stats actually coming in for Summer so far for these two teams. Lots of first places you can see. Damage per minute there over to Rogue Warriors. Going to be first place in wars per minute as well on Snake.
To be fair though, the damage per minute, it makes sense that Rogue Warriors would be first in the league. Echoing what Clement said, I'm in 100% alignment, although I'm going to use a bit harsher language. I feel like Rogue Warriors have the easiest front schedule in the LPL possible. Yes, they are 2-0 for their series. Yes, they have won all 4 maps, but they went against TOP and a very weak OMG. So Rogue Warriors really haven't been tested. And when you have 2 carries, SMLZ and Doinby, it's super easy to acquire that type of stat for damage per minute. Whereas Snake, they've been winning their games with 5 banner of commands and a single carry in SOFM. So of course, their damage per minute is going to be much lower.
See, I like the caveat there, because you knew I was going to call you out if you called OMG just a straight up bottom team right now, because I think you'll find they are a middle of the pack team for us,
When you are 1 and 2 and you are middle of the pack, there is something wrong with the league.
I'm just saying, WE are currently 0 and 3 in the same group, so yes, you are right. Something is wrong.
Did I say anything about WE? No. We're going to talk about Super Carry Doinby. So the reason why we call him Super Carry Doinby is you heard it in the interview at the top of the day, and you'll hear it every single time Doinby does step up and get interviewed. He knows that he has that power in him, that fire, and he can step up and be Super Carry Doinby.
He can, and when we see it, he just absolutely goes off. Last split, of course, taking 3rd place over a dominating Invictus Gaming.
And I think one of Doinby's most incredible achievements is when he actually got MVP for Spring back in 2017. And he did this on JD Gaming. And if you're listening to this and you say, wait, who's JD Gaming? Because you only watch the LPL once every 6 months. Exactly.
Pretty much that. As far as moves to the top lane here, looking for this gank on top of Flandre, hits the undertow, following up as well. The cleavers follow. Flandre is going to be dropped down to half and has to burn his flash.
Now, it's important here because we were going to have some question marks over Mouse. Yes, SOFM is the primary carry of Snake Esports, but he's usually unlocked around the top side of the map because Flandre is such a dominant top laner in the LPL, especially on a pick like Ornn. So Flawless, you know, peeking his head up, trying to give Mouse some encouraging words, some encouraging time, because Rogue Warriors have said it themselves. If Mouse gets through lane phase just fine, they know they're going to win the game because he's the weakest link.
Really important ghost coming out there from Doinby. It also looked like Maestro is looking for the Duke right there with the old anchor task, the dredge line, so will not hit in the end, otherwise that probably would have been at least the passive burn, if not the kill.
I do want to quickly grab that this is the 2nd Scuttle Crab, so again, you take the first 2 down and then it randomizes whether it's going to be top side or bottom side for the spawn, and SOFM has managed to grab the first randomized one. So again, if they're looking for that slingshot EXP gold advantage over Flawless, it's already started.
It's currently at 63, make that 64 farm now in the jungle, working his way towards his first item, SOFM. He's going to be doing quite a lot of damage later on, and you can see, again, to draw attention back to it, as we have an Ornn in the top lane, most likely for this wave clear and disengage from Mouse, is that he is the primary damage threat. You have a little bit coming in from Karma, a little bit coming in from the tanks, but he is the guy that you have to look towards, and that means that if he is taken out in battle, then pretty much all of the damage will plummet from Snake.
Oh, you're talking about SOFM. I thought you were talking about Mouse. I was like, what?
No, SOFM.
Yeah, absolutely. SOFM is everything for this composition. I mean, that said, people always misjudge this. When they look at Karma, they're like, totally support champion. She's going to build a Fiend. She's going to have an Ardent Censer. She's not going to do anything. It's like, no. The games are actually ending, you know, around the 25 to 30 minute mark, and we've seen a lot of more AP itemization coming into Karma's build once she's past the, you know, initial support itemization. She hits like a truck because the games aren't going to 55 minutes anymore where Karma's damage starts to fall off. So, yes, SOFM is the heart and soul of the composition, but Karma could still do some
Don't sleep
work.
on Karma, yeah. For sure, in the same way that Lulu is also packing a bit of a punch after that first support item. But again, let's take a look at this bottom lane, Cross. I want to talk about it for a hot second because we haven't really had a chance because everything was been happening on the top side of the map as Doinby is looking for a small invade here.
That's because the observers knew what I knew, and it's that nothing's going to happen in that bottom lane unless a jungler's involved. You know what they're going to do? It's called ping pong. They're just going to go back and forth with the wave. It's Fiddlesticks Karthus versus Morgana Karma. This is a spell flinger lane.
I mean, you're not wrong, but Karthus will still have a bit of priority down there, equaling a small CS lead, then that has turned into 2 waves. So I just wanted to mention that, just in case Karthus in 15 minutes from now, Frost ends up with like 200 billion farm, and we're just like, how did that happen? It's because he has small priority in this matchup.
Because he's also Karthus.
Yeah.
And he has very safe zone control with all of his abilities between his Skittles and his, I don't even know what it's called, Ring of Death.
Yeah, let's just call it that. Doinby, he's
Wow,
going to be onto the...
You don't even have the ability.
Doinby is taking the dragon right here along with SMLZ, single target. So we'll be taking this down very quickly. You've got the life drain as well coming out of Fiddlesticks as Hoodie is actually moving his way up. Toss out the old Dark Binding, not going to connect.
What's interesting for me is that Snake are very willingly trading this for more gold and experience on SOFM, because Snake absolutely know that it's happening. Rogue Warriors have access to the Dragon Pit because their bottom lane does have the push priority. You just spoke about that with the Karthus pick, so they could rotate it into it earlier. But SOFM and Maestro had complete control of the mid lane. They knew that Snake were walking up to the Dragon. SOFM hits tab. He's like, nah. They have to hit a tower for that to be effective. I'm going to farm my entire bottom side of the jungle, the mid lane, and the next Scuttle Crab random spawn.
I think this is one of the most intense funnels. Sorry to just completely segue away from you, but this is one of the most intense funnels I've seen on a single person.
It's on topic. I was just talking about SOFM.
Sure.
They basically traded Mountain Dragon for another, I don't know, 20 CS, 30 CS on him.
But this is just like going from the jungle, going back to mid lane, going to a camp, going back to mid lane, and just watching the way that the team interacts around this, the fact that Maestro is setting up for it, he's placing down vision, he'll handhold when he needs to on certain camps, when Kai'Sa will take damage from melee camps. It's just fascinating to watch.
And a reminder, you know, SOFM was discovered and coached by Tenakun, the former coach of Gigabyte Marines, again, also the guy who discovered Levi and brought him up into power. And Tenakun came from Dota, and his mentality was, how do you deny in League of Legends? Because you can do so in Dota, and the only way to do it is inside the jungle through counter jungling. And so when you understand that context, SOFM makes so much more sense, because he's all about the Krug camp, he's all about the Raptor camp, he's all about finding that rhythm and contesting everything and slowly building these massive leads over your pivotal point in jungle, and then once he has the lead, he just walks in and takes whatever he wants. And that's the pivot point that Snake like to use. And in the 8-11 meta, in a gold resource meta, of course SOFM was going to be a superstar.
Yeah, and obviously that mentality can sometimes come back to bite you as, yes, on the horizon there's a potential Kalua gank in this bush. He's sat on the controller, but it's not going to happen. They're pushed too far back. I was actually talking to Darryl Lim, a caster from Singapore who used to cast SOFM when he was playing back in his own domestic region, not the LPL. And on his previous teams, SOFM actually would always take blue buff. He saw blue buff as his objective, not the mid laners, to the point where over time it conditioned his mid lane to be like, blue buff's up for you, SOFM, and would then go and help SOFM to take his own blue buff. So he definitely has that mentality, but now he's in the current meta where it's actually very effective for everything to be funneled into him.
Yeah, but while everything is being funneled into SOFM, Rogue Warriors aren't just sitting back on their hindquarters. They're a team that really like to force plays. I love what they're doing right here. So the Banner of the Command was completed on Olaf. They walked down once they had a big wave stacked. Of course, like you said, Karth has been in primary control of that. It's just been going back and forth. And they decided to just break the lane phase and force it down.
Oh, connects the slow right into the Killer Instinct as well from SOFM. That's going to be first blood over to the carry for Snake.
And here's the thing. If this was any other LPL team, Snake would have seen what Rogue Warriors were doing, and they would have tried to match it. We would have had a massive skirmish. I mean, it's 11 minutes into the game, and only a single kill. People are like, this isn't the LPL. I came here for the bloodlust. Snake are a team that prefer to trade objectives. They see you make a play, and they set up a different play opposite map.
Here comes the Terrify right into the early Requiem coming down from the Karthus and Maestro. No escape from this one. Flawless will connect the kill.
Because the issue is that because Rogue Warriors force first, they've got the tempo advantage. So yes, Snake went for their stereotypical trade objective top for bottom, but Rogue Warriors, they read the situation perfectly. They now continue to snowball their momentum and have access on this top tier tower and lose nothing in return so far.
Yeah, push and pull, push and pull. Rogue Warriors will push into this top lane, however, and take this one down. But again, the tempo is absolutely over to Snake in this one. And this one should be falling. So I do want to talk a bit about the composition and exactly what you were just saying for us about the objectives and how Snake will prioritize them. From some of the games and the ways that Snake have played, they're actually getting surprise kills that they will transition into objectives. And that is usually based off the compositions and the changing composition they play from each game to each game. And specifically talking about the Bush Cat in the mid lane, the 2v2, the fact they are able to surprise.
It's over.
The Fiddlesticks and yeah, bit of a miss right there, but the anchor toss will go right against the wall into the depth charge, and SMLZ will 100% go down in the mid lane.
And there's that surprise kill that you were talking about. This fact that no one thinks that they're going to die right there. It forces out the flash, but because it's Karthus and he has the ability for his passive, he's able to clear out the wave, and Snake for once don't snowball it into some sort of objective. Although they are
looking
skirting
at
around Herald.
at the very least, it's a minor objective, right? It's vision for a potential Herald setup.
No, they're still going to try to force.
You might be right. They might push in this wave and look up there. Guogu has even pushed out his wave and is moving towards the area as well. They might actually just be waiting for crab vision. No, it's down to half, so we'll see if they just gun it. Yeah, they are.
They're just trying to read what Rogue Warriors are doing. Again, if you had to kind of take a word with Snake, usually we say innovative, creative, the mad scientist, but they're also a very reactionary-based team. Edward Gaming are the type of team where if you give them time and space, they like to make plans on the map, you know, 2, 4, 5 minutes in advance. Snake, yes, they're about trading, not so much about the bloodlust, save for the kind of these hit and run type of skirmishes.
Smash and grab.
But it's very much, like you said, that tug of war, that ping pong game of just reading your opponent and then quickly, like a snake, darting back and forth.
Exactly. But they always smack the ball back with more power. I think that is the difference with Snake, where it puts the enemy on a defensive, having to think about how they want to approach the next scenario. SMLZ has now moved up to the top lane. He's going to get this wave to himself and also be simultaneously protecting his low health tower.
And I do want to say this, we haven't really talked about it quite yet, but pay attention to Rogue Warriors' lane assignments. They actually did a very cool thing where Doinby was the guy who rotated up to the top lane to help them secure that top side tower, and it was Mouse on a recall that came into the mid lane and held the structure, which is why it's technically still standing right now. So it seems very simple and very basic, but it does mean that Rogue Warriors are constantly getting funneled gold on at least 3 members on their map and do stall pushes like this, which now Snake's going to force with the Rift Herald.
Yeah, quick hit on the fact that was the most alpha drop on Shelly I think I've ever seen in my life.
Right
Walks up to the
tower.
tower, starts activating, Fiddlesticks is off map, not on the ward, has ult, has Terrify and Flash, and he's like, I'm just going to step up with my Nautilus off to my side. So good stuff there, paid off in the end from SOFM. We'll take mid lane tower. Now Rogue Warriors are going to react with this dragon.
And reminder, Snake know exactly what's happening, but they're prepping the 2 waves, or the 2 tower waves right now. So it's Ocean Dragon, that's fine. We're going to trade the top tier tower for it. We've also still got priority on the mid lane with an exit strategy towards the top side of the map because Morgana has now covered it in vision. So if Rogue Warriors didn't respond, it was also going to be the mid tier tower. So Snake, they're totally fine giving up these dragons. They are doing so intentionally. It's now just a question of, are they actually getting their bang for the buck? And we're going to find out in about 10 minutes.
See, Snake are the type of people who hang up their fairy lights like 6 months early, right? It's like, what, June right now?
You say fairy lights, and it took me a second to realize that you meant Christmas lights.
Yeah, that's what we call them in the UK.
No,
but if you look at the upper jungle, it's lit up like a Christmas tree. So Snake are well ahead of the curve, looking to transition, using that one towards top and the middle lane. Now we've got SOFM, Maestro, and Hudia actually moving into this to just pivot around.
I'm never going to call them Christmas lights again. They're only going to be fairy lights.
Yeah. I wonder if that's only a UK thing. I guess I'll have to find out later. Kalua in his jungle now. He's going to be setting up some of these camps and actually primarily trying to take away some of this vision. Gonna hit this guy's blue and unfortunately put it in the one place. This guy's the worst at battleships. The one place where there are no wards.
Yeah, naturally because he is the Fiddlesticks, he's just trying to find a good angle. They've actually been very good about it so far in this game, constantly having a bunch of peep wards towards the side. Unfortunately, when you look at the map right now, it looks dominated by Snake Esports, and that's only been a recent involvement. But obviously, they're looking for the Klua ultimate. And Klua just kind of skirting around, trying to find the Fog of War, trying to find the little pockets where you can get his caca over the wall.
That's what he's looking for because, again, you want to be prioritizing your spikes, right? At level 6, at level 11, and those are the times you want to jump in. And Doinby is doing the same onto Guoguo. Flashes forwards into the Massacre. Here come the TPs coming through, but the team is very far behind them. Long range, all ultimate, just in range, but Requiem will finish him off. Here comes Kalua, that ultimate you were talking about, Frost. Can you get the damage down? Flash over the wall from Flandre, and the rest of Snake are here to save Private Orn, who is slow, but right into the Black Shield. It's good. Got more seconds until this one wears up, but he'll flash over the wall.
And Snake are immediately pivoting towards the mid lane. They're like, oh, we can clean up this wave and then reset the map. But this is what I'm talking about when Rogue Warriors force plays. They immediately catch someone and then suddenly it's just a massive, as Clement likes to put it, a dog pile. Now, I do think that it was a good attempt from Snake, pulling the TP. You can see Ornn now TP behind them, but ultimately the damage had been done and Guoguo was caught out. And I do have to then take a moment and preface Guoguo. if there is a weak point, if there is a point where Snake win this game, because I suspected Rogue Warriors would, it's through exploiting Wogo. He's the greenest member on this roster outside of Maestro, who was just recently added, and he has this tendency that when he's left to his own devices, he's constantly caught out like that. I call it the notorious POB factor.
I like it a lot. Something that I just thought about while you were talking about that, Frosk, is SOFM might be breaking some records in this game.
In terms of fastest 240 CS
yeah,
to 18 minutes?
is what I realized. Because I'm looking at all the other CS right now, 116 from Flawless, like 160, 190 right now from Joinby, which is good and ahead of the clock. 250 farm at 18 minutes.
Tell me when Perks acquired his 300 CS.
I don't know, because the record has been like broken and rebroken over and over and over again in this last year.
We'll definitely check up on it, although I always hate when teams, or excuse me, not when teams, when players defensively build the QSS instead of just snowballing their lead harder.
Yeah.
I mean, there's two methods of thinking here. Obviously, you have the extra gold, so you're not technically losing anything in terms of your power spike because you're ahead of the clock in your itemization, so you can grab the defensive item. But I'm the bloodthirsty killer, and I wanted SOFM to be the bloodthirsty killer. If I'm that far ahead of the clock, I'm buying all of the damage items, especially on Kai'Sa, who is gated by her stats.
Mm-hmm. I mean, really, that is just for the Terrify, more than anything else.
Oh, I definitely know what it's for.
Yeah, no, sure. I was going. This is more for me, Frost, than it was for you. I was like looking at this team, and it's just like, like, what is this for? Because I'm looking at knockups, looking at slows primarily from Rogue Warriors, but the only real thing that is like hard lockdown is going to be the Terrify coming out of Kahlua. In this top side of the map now, there's a bit of setup here for the Baron again. Give SOFM his blue buff. This is absolutely his.
Everything is his.
Everything is his.
Everything is his.
Mouse is actually moving up into the enemy jungle right now. We'll see if he's warding. We're actually looking to pivot around mid lane.
There's no reason for him to be bottom, so he's actually just looking for an opportunity, and if they find it, they will jump on it.
Blast forward from SOFM, instant exhaust coming through, but the team is here to back him up as well. Kahlua over the wall, looking for the right time to come with the ultimate. Here it is, but the kite back is already good from SOFM, and he freezes himself in place. SOFM doesn't care, not enough damage. The shields are too strong. In with a killer instinct. This guy is insane. The jump in from Joinby, he interrupts the backline, and SOFM is down. The rest of Snake need to escape. They are being routed. SMLZ needs to push forward. He knows he can die. It's fine. He could be the martyr. And Flandry will drop as well. 3 kills to 1. And the Requiem. It's close. Hudia almost drops and Joinby not in range to follow up.
But the biggest problem is that they have their pick of the litter right now. They can grab the mid-tier tower. They can reset. They can grab the Baron vision. If they were really crazy, just rush towards the Baron right now. But I believe it's because Mouse doesn't have TP. 100%. If Mouse had TP, Mundo would have backed right there, TP'd full health into the Baron pit, and used to tank it.
SOFM is insane.
That is not insane. Okay, so here's the thing. They are doing this with improper information. They don't see Aatrox. Well, now they see Aatrox, but they don't see Fiddlesticks. He's going to get over the wall, and it all looks good right now. You're like, SOFM, he's like the dream lot. He's the jungler. He's now the ADC carry. Except he's not an ADC player because he pulls this bullshit. And you're like, this is not an ooh, as in a good ooh. This is an ah, as in, oh my god, you just threw the fight.
So explain to me why he isn't insane.
Why he isn't insane?
Yeah, that's what you just literally just said to me.
Oh, you're saying insane is a bad thing.
Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah. He's insane in a bad way. In America, unlike Fairy Lights, we say insane as in a good thing. Like, that guy's insane.
Oh, I see, I see.
That's incredible.
No, that was just
Rad,
straight
groovy.
up insanity.
Yeah.
It was like, why would you do that? But it's hype, and I like it, because now they collapse instantly onto Mouse, who actually carves into his own HP with a sadism. Is it enough to keep him alive? Absolutely not when you have SOFM on you. Joinby jumps in, but the rest of the team not reading from the same hymn sheet. And that's 2 kills over to Snake.
And suddenly another hit and run, almost instantaneously a back-to-back skirmish. Now the jungler is still alive. Flawless does have flash. No access to a blast cone just yet, but Snake are on the Baron.
I think there's going to be a contest on this one. Flawless does have his flash.
He's coming around. He wants to contest it. He's just trying to come from a side where they won't spot him.
Fair. He's hiding in the shadows currently. It's down to around half right now from Snake. The recall coming in. This is going to be a one-way trip here from Flawless. Can he time it correctly? The control ward over the wall. It's removed. The weight coming in from Snake is huge. The mistiming Flawless. He doesn't know. The flash over.
Oh my god!
He still gets it. Snake, the gamut was red, and Flawless steals the Baron.
He did that blind. What in the world? They see him. Pulse, look at behind Baron pit. They had a ward. They saw him standing there. They knew he was there for like 6 seconds.
No, that's why they paused on the Baron. They were trying to screw with his internal timer because they removed the control ward and then still had it stolen.
You want to screw with his internal timer? Flash the wall and beat his brains
Yes!
in.
That was unreal. I cannot wait to see this replay, Frusk.
Woo!
And here it is. Take it away.
Okay, so Flawless thinks the hasn't been spotted. He's walked through that brush with his sweeper, so he believes it's not warded. They see the ward come over the wall, so of course Maestro is going to pop another ward into that brush, which we cannot see because of our observer's vision right now, but it's there. They see him. Like you said, they stop hitting the Baron because they're trying to mess up his counting. He flashes in anyway and takes it. Or, you know, you could just walk around and chase him away.
How did he know? How did Flawless know to flash late? Because he didn't have vision.
You're just counting.
No, I know he was counting, but that was they stalled for 3 seconds.
I understand, but the answer is there's no answer like he's a premonition. He could see through walls. It's just he was just counting and guessed correctly.
I guess so, man. That's something I need to rewatch like 5 times to figure out what happened there. But
I'll tell you what happened. Snake messed up.
Okay, that's the simple version. Yeah, and I'll take it for now.
That's the Spark Notes.
Yeah, okay, I'll take it. Flawless though with this Baron steal converted into so much for Rogue Warriors, pushed right into this mid lane. 2 towers now knocking on the front door. The issue now is the fact that in the bottom wave, I think that's a promoted minion. Yeah, it's pushing away from them. So the most that Rogue Warriors can do is push in this mid wave and rotate to the top wave that's built.
Unless they force a fight. And again, Rogue Warriors love to force things. Immediately the banner of the command grabs hold of the cannon. They've got the Baron. And if they kill someone, it doesn't matter that the wave is pushing against the bottom because they will snowball that just so much. So Snake, you need to be a bit patient here. Just play red zone defense and make sure that this Baron doesn't bite them in the ass because this was such a pivotal moment in the game to lose it. And if they can get over this hump, another shot at winning this game.
Very important blue buff right here from SMLZ, picking that one up. A denial from SOFM, but B, if they're in a siege situation, you want Karthus to constantly be throwing out those lay waves and being the one who can clear the minion waves and also harass at the same time. Looks like though Rogue Warriors are going to back away. They need to deal with this bottom lane wave, so they're sending Karthus, they're sending the Olaf down there to do so, and maybe look for a second push with the rest of this Baron.
Yeah, and Snake Esports have weathered the storm effectively. Now, again, if we're thinking about hyper-scaling compositions and what will happen if we do reach that, you know, fabled late game that we really haven't seen in the LPL or on 8-11, is that was going to be a battle for the ages. Bannered up cannon minion versus Karthus.
Oh, it's all good. I mean, we're on present patch now. It's not as bad for AP casters as it was.
Yes.
Before, yes, that would have been very sad.
You can tell how much League of Legends I've gotten to play. It's the curse of being in the LPL when you just have game after game after game. You're like, I wish I could experience a game eventually.
Yeah, that would be nice. And it's funny. I know you were casting Asian games the other day, right? So that was also on 8-10. But either way, we've got Rogue Warriors now pushing into the bottom side of the map here. And looks like Doinby's looking for this deep ward. Yeah, I'm seeing lots of pings go down. And what that tells me is there's potential for A, for them to clear out the jungle, but B, maybe to look for a trap.
And we really just have to look at the compositions. And it seems obvious. We're going to say it anyway. If SOFM dies, Snake will lose. And so now you have to look at all of the dive tools, or all of the tools that Rogue Warriors have to kill that guy. First and foremost, it's Kahlua. And again, it's not really the damage from his ultimate, although he does have his Zanya Hourglass now, so he will be able to get back there pretty safely. It's more so making sure that he can chain some sort of hard CC, either through the Fear or the Silence preferably, but he's competing against Houdier's Dark Binding. Doinby obviously has the Dark Flight, so he can get back down there. We saw that last time. Team didn't follow up. He insta-died. And no one can stop Flawless. So theoretically, there are so many tools for Rogue Warriors to just screw over SOFM in a backline. Karthus ults, Olaf flies in, Doinby's literally flying in, but they need to do it all together. And that's really what we haven't seen from Rogue Warriors. Their team fighting this game so far has been rather poor.
Yeah, also what I'm looking for in these fights is Kahlua to place down that Terrify at the right time on top of SOFM. Because there's going to be a split instance unless SOFM is literally frame perfect with his QSS for them to actually screw with his positioning.
I think it would almost be more beneficial for Kahlua to aim Morgana and make sure that she doesn't get
the Black Shield.
Exactly. If he can just tie her up somehow and make sure that SOFM doesn't have access to that spell, I think that should be his only responsibility versus trying to find the perfect ultimate.
See, the big mind game here would then for Houdier to pick up a QSS himself. Be like, okay, Who is it going to be? Who's the one Terrifier going to go on top of? When we actually take a look at the gold totals, Karf is sitting on 11,000 gold. Same for the Aatrox in the mid lane, but 13,000 gold out from SOFM, the quote-unquote jungler of the Snake squad.
But that's still a huge gold advantage towards Rogue Warriors. You can see it in the top side of your map, and again, it's because they have multiple carry threats. And also the ability to play side lanes. Snake's composition really doesn't function very well in side lanes by itself. Yeah, Ornn's going to be fine over there, and they can use Kai'Sa as a swing point, especially with her long-range initiation potential with W. But otherwise, they need to stay grouped up. If Rogue Warriors ever don't want to group up, they could.
Follow the Forge God, hits 3, but the team isn't here just yet. Mouse is getting carved up, though, by SOFM. Pops the ultimate way too early. Here's the Fiddlesticks ultimate. Doesn't have enough damage, though, because he is dying very quickly. And SOFM, watch him right now, because he's kited back, and now he's kiting forwards. Takes down Doinby, takes down Fiddle. He's removing everybody from Rogue Warriors, and Snakey's on the chase. He's tying up Flawless.
Much better execution this time around from SOFM. And like you said, Flandre, he's just going to play with Flawless. Flawless is trying to drag the creep wave, so there's no creeps coming up behind Snake for their mid lane push. But you can see they immediately pinged the top side, and they said, okay, you can have our mid lane. We're going to take your top.
Setup is what happened right there, and now this will be a top wave push. This is a meaty minion wave as well, so Snake should be able to push this one in, but look for the early recall. Baron is spawning in 25 seconds.
Yeah, that's the key there. It's the Baron spawning in 26, so they want to make sure that they can reset, use all of the gold that they just acquired through those kills, walk towards the Baron pit, and start cleaning everything up. Now, all eyes on SOFM. He doesn't go crazy. He actually uses the ultimate in a similar way that Uzi did at MSI to reposition himself to dodge a lot of damaging spells. But yep, there he goes, right there. Doinby comes in for the Dark Fly, SOFM just repositions himself towards the side, and no one is touching him. And again, Rogue Warriors teamfight has been such suspect this series. They are constantly getting engaged on when they need to be the people who hit first and actually make something of Mouse's HP bar, because that guy was dead before he tanked anything.
The thing is, for us, is the fact that Snake are actually focusing down Mundo first. This has happened 2 fights in a row right now, but not going to get time to talk about that because we're looking for a potential engage. Here comes the Ornn here once more. Mouse on the front lines. The worst scenario right now for Rogue Warriors. Olaf goes immediately into the Ragnarok. They want to burn this. But unfortunately, Snake back away. They know they've burned the ultimates, they've burned the TP, they are good.
And they learned their lesson from the first Baron. They're not going to take a 50-50. They want to find the pick, they want to find the team fight, but need to be careful because their vision line needs to start creeping forward. You can already see the Kahlua was trying to hide around the corner.
And you're probably saying, Pulse, why are you saying it's a bad thing to for Mundo to be focused first? Because you're like, surely you want the tank. Because he has to pop the ultimate early, which hurts his own HP bar, meaning he doesn't get the full duration of his ultimate, and SOFM can burst him down single target. And that is what Snake have been doing fight after fight after fight.
It's also the fact that they're just not making use of Mundo's massive HP bar. You know, if he is dead before anyone else in your team has managed to put any damage down on the enemy team, you're not tanking, you're feeding at that point.
Because a lot of Mundo's damage in teamfights comes from the fact he survives until the end, with the fact he has Burning Agony. This time he doesn't have the Sunfire cape, but usually he hits very high damage numbers because of that fact, Ross.
Also recognizing that he has Warmox as well as Spirit Visage in tandem with his natural hit, so burning him down and making sure that he dies without getting to exit the fight and heal back up. But here we go, round 2.
Round 2 indeed. Ornn once again knocks up Mouse. Can we get the focus though? Here comes the Dredge line and Doinby and Kahlua. They've pretty much just run away and said, Mouse, you're on your own, mate. But he actually opened up a lot of distance.
Kahlua.
This is perfect. Here comes Kahlua, trying to separate the fight. SOFM trying to make his way in, but there is a wall in between him and the target. He wants to hit. Flandre taken down. Great Q coming in from Maestro. Managed to snipe off Kahlua. That turned into a 1-for-1.
It looked good for Rogue Warriors for a split second there. Like you said, the Fiddlesticks ult coming in, splitting up the fight, trying to separate the pieces so they could burst someone out. But ultimately, Rogue Warriors' composition really doesn't have the damage at this point in the game. It feels like they're not hurting anyone.
They're really not, and that would have been a 1-for-0 as well. Flandre would have actually just died for nothing unless Maestro just hits the Dredge line of the century, cuts through all of the tanks, and somehow hits Kahlua. Karf is by himself. SOFM, oh, he's hungry. He's looking for this kill, but now he's being attacked by the Olaf, who's beelining it towards him. He has him on top of him, but he manages to kite away. The Requiem is good. Takes down SOFM. He is dead. There is no carry for Snake, and Maestro will fall for this.
So back and forth. Flawless understood that as soon as he was in, that there was no exit strategy, and he had to kill SOFM. That said, both junglers dead. Rogue Warriors are turning towards the Baron. This is crazy because it's still technically a 50-50.
mean, Flawless knew, but he knew that was going to be a one-way trip, but it was so important. Here comes Hootie and the rest of the team. Can they contest?
And here comes Flandre on Ornn with his ultimate available, so this will be a fight.
He absolutely will. There comes the Ornn Horn, slows too. The immediate jump in from Guoguo, but now he's alone. Flandre cannot follow up. Joinby gets the kill. SMLZ low, but he was focusing the Baron. Rogue Warriors get Baron number 2.
Back-to-back Barons. Flawless, of course, saving the game the first time with the steal, but much cleaner this time around with Flawless also kind of putting the game on his back, finally deciding, okay, this is Olaf, this is against Snake's composition, I have to take the burden of responsibility, I've got to use the Ragnarok, flying to the back line and kill, I almost said SMLZ because it's Kai'Sa. SOFM. Ah, that's hard. Why is he playing an ADC?
It's confusing for us. I mean, we've had bot laners, mid laners, bot laners, but we can see that, again, this is post-Kai'Sa death.
Yeah, and a reminder that this is SOFM again going out on his own. He snipes SMLZ, they've got great deep vision to look for opportunities like this, but it's all a ruse. It was all a bait. The exhaust comes out. Flawless knows that it's a one-way ticket. He tries to get out, but SOFM just looks at him in the eyes and goes, no, I'm the captain now. You come with me.
I mean, that was just unbelievably badass from Flawless. He just sprints at SOFM and just like, if you're going to kill my team, I'm taking you down with me.
But who went down with the ship? Because I feel like both junglers just, they held on and they just sunk together.
But obviously that's a good thing for Rogue Warriors, isn't it? Because you need to take down SOFM because, as you said, he's the jungle AD carry.
It's the nature of the composition.
Yeah. The jungle AD carry, love it.
The jungle ADC. It's not so bad because it's Kai'Sa.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been much stranger junglers that have happened globally.
You're not wrong.
But I just had a suspicion. I was like, if anyone's going to pull out the Kai'Sa jungle in the LPL, it's definitely going to be SOFM.
Without a doubt. Rogue Warriors now pushing once again onto the front door. They're knocking. Definitely are people home because they throw out the Ornn Horn. Here comes Flandre pushing the front lines, but SOFM, he's actually being a little bit skittish about this one, but Joinby stepped a little too far forward. That is the scary thing moving into Kai'Sa. If you're in range of the Icathian Rain by yourself, you're probably going to die.
And the big thing about Kai'Sa is just pay attention to how she keeps her Rage Blade stacked. It was something that Uzi really perfected at MSI and constantly hitting things in between big fights so that when he entered the fight, the Rage Blade was stacked up and ready to go. So even when the fights aren't happening, just watch what SOFM is doing if he's managing to keep that stacked up.
I mean, he's got to straddle the line, honestly, when these slows come through, but also know that the team is behind him, placing down these shields. I like the concede here. They bought a lot of time from that Baron buff, but ultimately something had to give.
And it really is a testament to how well SOFM is playing this pick. Because again, if I look at Rogue Warriors' composition, all I'm thinking to myself is there's no reason they should be struggling so much to kill a Kai'Sa. Basically, it's like 2 auto attacks from an Olaf and a Karthus ult at this point. You have the wall to slow her, to grab hold and just basically, I don't even know, rock and hard place. Crush her? Have you gone to a junkyard and you see those maneuvers that take the cars and
car
smash
crusher?
them?
Yeah, it turns them into a cube.
Rogue Warriors' composition is the car crusher.
It absolutely is. And they fear the target as well, theoretically.
The Wally comp. There we go.
The Wally comp? I love it.
Yeah, they're just taking Snake and they're just making him trash. It's definitely not what this game looks like.
No punches held for us. Damn. All right. How are we doing? Let's actually take stock. This is the first time we're doing it in this game. 7,000 gold ahead, Rogue Warriors right now.
Well, you just have to look at all the items. We've got double locket. One of them is an empowered locket from Ornn.
Yep.
You have Redemption. You have Ardent Sensor. What else? We got an Athene's in there. Yep, and a couple of banners, all from Snake. So everything is on SOFM. And he's full build.
Yep. Absolutely. How are we doing for the opposing carries, though? Because you look at SMLZ, he's got the Death Cap, pretty much everything a Karthus could ever want in his life.
And that's almost the most important thing, because, again, that damage, SOFM cannot block. He has to take that.
Yeah, especially if SMLZ gets in there with the flash and is just sitting on top of him with Defile. I mean, there is no escape from that damage. He doesn't need to aim it. It's not a skill shot. Unless Karthus as a champion is a skill shot.
Oh, SOFM is so ballsy.
I mean, you know it, but at the same time, he kind of has to. Here's the Elder Dragon, though. 36 minutes on this one. And Snake, Rogue Warriors have kicked it off. And SMLZ getting that one up. Knock up on to the Karthus. 4,000 HP remaining on the Dragon. Snake needs to act right now. Flandre is moving forward, gets a knock on to SMLZ. And Hootie moved away. He just has to back away from this one. SOFM is dead. Run down by the Olaf once again. and Guoguo, he's on the retreat, but 3 members down from Snake, and Rogue Warriors are looking for the kill.
Also for a teleport bottom, so Mouse, he has the Elder Dragon, he's got the bannered up creep, and he has full access to this tower. This should be the nail in the coffin for Snake Esports. It went to 37 minutes, but this is part of the game that you play when you only have a single damage threat composition.
The damage threat dies, and that's pretty much it. You are doomed. He even burned the Mercurial Scimitar on that one. Here come Rogue Warriors into the base. Flanger and Guoguo, the 2 lone defenders on this one. And Requiem wasn't even used in the last fight as well. Rogue Warriors, it was hard fought, but in the end, they focused the target they needed to. Flawless ran him down, and 37 minutes on the clock, they will take the win.
And if Flawless doesn't get MVP for this series, I'm going to be very disappointed. A clutch Baron steal over the wall that he did blind. He then also shuts down SOFM in the second fight to take Baron number 2, and then pulls the trigger, grabs the Elder Dragon, and turns and kills SOFM again.
Flawless is the MVP, hands down. Statistics on your screen, and you can see for the majority of the game.
The 8.3k damage. All Flawless.
Yep, all Flawless.
And Fiddlesticks out-damaged him.
Yep, but the damage lands it where it counted for us. That's all that really matters. Because all that damage that went on to SOFM that one time he died, most of it was Flawless. So.
And you can see from the damage done to champions that Snake, they had a good thing going with this composition. It was making sense, and it was actually just, you know, a couple of questionable decisions made by SOFM in terms of his positioning. Again, that initial ultimate where he put himself into the back line and it immediately popped. The fact that he missed the contested smite against Flawless when he decided to dive onto Karthus and try to find the snipe down the mid lane. So you just fine-tune or clean up a couple of those decisions, and Snake could have very easily walked away with this win.
I mean, Trust, you're right in the money, because we're just talking about it's a 1-carry comp, so of course you have to look at that single carry, and if that guy makes a single mistake, that's going to cost you a Baron, often the game. You know, it's not the same as having like an IG triple threat composition where 1 carry can die, hey, you got 2 more people. So that was the problem right here, but I still really enjoyed watching that from Snake. It was fast and it was fun. Either way, guys, we're going to send it back to the analyst desk to take a look at that game 1.
Thank you so much. And it might have been fast and fun, but that game was not Dominion. That was patch 811 with Rogue Warriors getting a read on what Snake wanted to do. And Clement, we had that picks and bans. We're going through that like, okay, we've got the Kaisa, Morgana, that's probably going bottom lane. It seemed like that was the juke that Snake set up in the beginning. But then immediately when we saw the next pick right afterwards, the Ornn and the Nautilus, you and I spent a good 30 seconds trying to figure out who actually goes where until we settled on that Kaisa jungle. Still, Snake, the mad scientist, they're coming out with something wild and wacky. 2 supports, 2 tanks, and 1 damage dealer. It was close, but didn't work.
Welcome to 8.11, where Snake can run 5 different combinations of support, mids, and the jungle as a primary carry. And I actually really like their draft here. I thought they outdrafted Rogue Warriors on multiple fronts, because Rogue Warriors is running their mentality is, you're probably going to run into a short-range melee bruiser composition. We're going to pick 3 champions that just don't die in fights, and we're going to steamroll that way. However, Snake really outpicked them in the sense that if you look at a team fight, they have enough AoE CC to keep the entire Rogue Warriors team back. They weren't afraid to initiate on the tankiest members in the Mundo and really start that going and force Rogue Warriors to kind of come into them. They had a very hard time actually nailing down the Kaisa without SOFM making any mistakes whatsoever. So great draft by Snake, great strategy. They really did fake out Rogue Warriors in terms of the Kaisa jungle, because the first Olaf pick, that was...
Yeah, it looked a little bit scary for Flawless, because the whole idea with the Kaisa jungle, with the strategy to beat the gold funneling, is before the jungler has items, the mid laner doesn't have any combat stats, so your jungler wants to invade and try to bully, try to get those camps away to prevent that sort of gold funneling strategy. But like you said with the Olaf, we saw Banner of Command rush from Flawless. He played it almost passively.
Yeah, there was so the Olaf pick was actually, I think it was geared more toward Kaisa bot lane. That's what they were thinking for. They didn't think about the jungle necessarily. And if you look at this draft, if you know it's going to be a Kaisa jungle, you're most likely going to go Camille instead of Olaf here. But I think they did fake out the composition, and they had the edge in that sense. But unfortunately, it really did come down to SOFM and his execution in the game.
Yeah, and to actually talk a bit about about that execution. We heard it from the casters throughout the course of that game. It came down to one moment several times, constantly happening. Could SOFM survive the crowd control that was thrown at him to kill through the front line, to get through the Aatrox, through the Mundo, through that Olaf, so that he could just shred through the rest of the compositions? Or would he make a mistake? Here we can see it looks like a good position. He finds Rogue Warriors backing up, but again, SOFM gets a little bit too greedy, and because of that, Rogue Warriors starts to pick up an advantage.
And I really like this fight from Snake. I think it was actually incredibly intelligent. They got to their 2-item spike. This is what you play around if you are going to do a gold funneling strategy. It's you want to play around item spikes, because later in the game, your supports are not going to have combat stats to actually fight other people. So there is reason, there is method behind the madness for Snake. They want to capitalize as heavily as possible on their item spikes. However, the execution itself is a bit lackluster, going up the ramp through a Karthus. The rest of the team really isn't able to follow. And I have to say, I really do think SOFM plays these team fights with the mentality more of a jungler. Because if you're a jungler previously in team fights, you draw enough attention, you die, it's no big deal. It's actually usually a plus.
If you're the only carry, though,
you can't do that. So that was a bit of a miss on the execution, and we do have to mention, if you're gold funneling, you're playing around your power spikes, and you need to make the most use of this power spikes. When you think about when SOFM has actually won doing the gold funneling, it's never really been full item build. It's been when he's like 5 items, 1 item ahead of the rest of the enemy team. That's when you really look to capitalize on team fights and have all those stats multiplying on each other. When everyone's full build, however, you really lose a lot of your edge in terms of the 5v5.
And again, because this is the patch 8.11 meta, the whole gold funneling relies on snowballing aggressively. They weren't quite able to do that. We did get the chance to see another team fight when SOFM actually survived and was able to find a bunch of kills, but not able to quite convert off the back of this. Mouse steps up, but again, SOFM, if he just stays alive, it seemed as though Snake won the fight.
And if you look at the gold graphs right here, this is the power of gold funneling, because your carry has a lot more item advantage compared to the enemy team. They don't necessarily have the defenses to really stick through, and you can see the composition from Snake. No one could touch SOFM. He was actually only hit by the AoE from Aatrox that entire fight. And he was able to clean through the entire composition. So it was a really well thought out strategy by Snake. Unfortunately, they only failed on the execution. So they just need to make sure if you want to snowball hard, you still have to play fairly carefully around those power spikes.
And this is something that we always have to laud about Snake, is this is a team that knows their strengths and weaknesses. They aren't discovering anything, well, I mean, outside of the crazy strategies that they cook up, they aren't discovering anything new when they come into these games. It's just about execution. It's just about sticking to the strategy to make sure that they can actually close out the game. SOFM tried. He got very, very close. He did not succeed. We do have that last team fight as well to illustrate once again what happens when the death timers become long enough. Once you start to pull Snake out of their comfort zone, they begin to look a little bit like a fish out of water, or a snake out of its den.
Yep, pretty much. If snakes actually live in dens, which I assume they do. I thought they lived in pits, but onto the replay.
Pits, sorry, before that, we've got SMLZ. We'll take our MVP for that game on his Karthus performance. Able to get the outplay. Calm down, Frostgird. Calm down. Able to get the outplay onto SOFM. He saw the one-on-one, and he's on you.
I actually agree with this, because he outplayed the point where Snake had the largest power spike. The Baron was important. It delayed the time until they could basically power up their carries, but that single play really held back the entire wave of Snake for quite a long time. And when you got a full build Karthus, you can actually take 70% of the SOFM's HP down in the late game. There was no way he was going to survive like Mundo and then with 30% health and still be able to fight in that team fight. So, he was the ace card, the last closing bit in the late game to ensure Rogue Warriors' victory.
Yeah, a very successful performance from SMLZ in order to take that MVP, though as we talk about this is, again, Rogue Warriors respecting the stylistic 8-11 changes out of Snake, seeing something, getting a little bit surprised, but able to respond in time. Clement, what do Snake do if they want to bring it back? We talked a little bit about that surprise factor being so important before Game 1. Well, they showed us a bit of a surprise, but they weren't able to close it out.
So, I think the big thing about gold funneling is not really about how fast you can clear. It's about how much you can keep the enemy jungler down as well. So if they want to win this, they need to have more solid control in the side lanes and then bring that into counter jungling. Rogue Warriors was really smart about their item builds and countering that, because they built a 9-minute banner of command to deny any chance that SOFM was going to snowball off their own jungle, which was incredibly smart. So it does show that they understand the dynamics of gold funneling, and Snake just needs stronger side lanes to support that.
Well, we'll have to see if Snake can bring it towards us. We're going to go and take a quick break while we get ready for Game 2 between Snake and Rogue Warriors.